Hello, so we're going to continue reading the Ascension symptoms manual, and we got to, I can't remember what part we're on, so you'll see it in the description. Psychic attacks. Attacks in dreams. This is quite interesting because I've just been doing this, I've just been to Ireland, doing some really special work with the land, and one night after doing this particular intense ceremony, I was attacked at night. Now, I've experienced this before, and I'm sure if you're watching this, you've had these things in your life growing up at times, like sometimes we refer to them as night terrors, different things like this. And I hadn't experienced that for a long time, so I found it interesting, and I felt like it was just some just releasing of certain things. So let's see what this says anyway. Psychic attacks in dreams. Those who are no longer in the 3D sandbox and have these is due to a purging. Exactly right what I was saying. So I feel like it was the releasing. So yeah, when an emotional purging is not able to be fully accomplished during the waking state, it will occur during the sleep state. Try not to analyze it. Focus on the moment and move on. If it is something of importance, your spirit team will find a way to make it known. This can be seen in ways of claircognizance, physical signs, or most likely via another incarnate. Most people you encounter from this point forward are messengers of the light. To those who feel under attack in their dreams, go deep within to see what the core of that fear is. This is happening in your dreams from a fear anchored deep within your subconscious and arises to be transmuted. Yeah, I felt like that was just a purging due to the work I've done. And also, I love what is said here, right? That as we awaken, we start to realize, I started to realize this very powerfully in April this year, 2024, depending on when you are watching this video, that literally everyone I was interacting with had a message for me. We are, as we start to awaken, we are uniting, we are moving back into unity consciousness. I'm going to leave a video where I talk about what unity consciousness is. The video wasn't necessarily about that, but I start talking about it and it gives a really high perspective on what unity consciousness is, because often we can think unity consciousness, we can start to fear that we're going to lose ourselves, lose our individuality, but it's the actual opposite of that. So I'm not going to go into that now, but watch my video at the end if you're interested in that. But I started to realize that everyone I spoke to was literally delivering a message to me. So even when I'm reading this book, right, and the stuff that just comes to me, that starts to come to me as I'm reading these words, the additional stuff that I add, there's going to be messages in there for you, things that you need to hear and connect to right now. So it's such a beautiful place to be when we start to realize that, when we're starting to work like that with each other. So empathy attacks, random energy attacks from someone you know that leaves you with the feeling that an entire cargo of luggage was tossed on you. This happens unconsciously because that person is trying to shift all that emotional baggage onto you for you to transmute. This is pure projection. Blame, ball tossing, gaslighting, and manipulative behaviours. Since you are such a giving, pure being, you continue to be there and take these punches. This is not being responsible and using self-discipline to maintain a healthy mind, body, and spirit. This instead is draining of your light due to the fact this person is feeding from it. It is very important to be consciously aware of who makes you feel drained after an interaction and who does not. Yeah, I think that's really important. And that's definitely something I've had to learn on my path. Look, we grow up and we are programmed to please other people. We all have a deep-seated people-pleasing program that needs to be brought into the light and healed, because when we're doing that, we are putting ourselves at the bottom of the pile and we are just taking on. We can be taking on from other people, and it really harms us. It's really harmful to us, and that doesn't in the end help anybody, neither. And like she says, often people don't do this. Sometimes people do. Often people aren't consciously trying to unload on you. It is your light that they're feeding into. But you've got to realize that you are the authority of your energetic system. You have to be the guardian of it, and realize it is precious and it is important, and that God's source consciousness give you a very special gift, give us all very special gifts by allowing us these human bodies for our souls to incarnate in. And we really need to have reverence for ourselves and our energetic fields. Energy attacks. Those of the stage 1 process will get occasionally attacked by other incarnated beings. This is due to the fact your light is shining brighter and casting onto their inner shadows. Those of the stage 2 process that once received these from both physical and non-physical beings will notice it is now void or rarely occurs. Yeah, I have noticed that. This is because you are no longer anchored on the 3D or lower 4D planes. Savior syndrome. This is a term I use for those who feel they need to save the world or every broken bird they encounter. This is a negative agenda programming designed to target pure Christos incarnates. Each of you is given an energetic currency by God's source daily. The pure ones are sent here to anchor this light onto the grid for the highest good of all earthly kingdoms. I'm just going to have to pause here. I've just realised I've got my bath running. Oh, you see, Source just came in at the right time there. It was this close to the top. Okay. The pure ones are sent here to anchor this light onto the grid for the highest good of all earthly kingdoms, which includes the man kingdom. However, if you are constantly giving out 80% of your light and leaving only 20% for yourself, how is this going to the greater good? The grand old saying of we help others best when we help ourselves first is key here. Remind yourself that you matter and start doing things for you first. See, this is that people pleasing program as well, where you basically put your needs at the bottom. That's programmed into us from a very young age to please others. We get rewarded, we get love when we please others, it gets withheld when we don't, and it makes us believe that other people's needs are more important than ourselves. But that's not the truth. You know, it's not selfish to put the self first. You must do that. You know, that's not about violating another. It's about realizing you've got to fill up your own cup before you can fill up others. So I really understand that. And it's something we've got to remember, relearn, and dissolve those programs that make us believe we've got to save other people. And I really had to, you know, when I started working with my clients, and they would come to me with all these challenges and problems, I'd feel so responsible for it. I'd feel like, oh gosh, if I can't help them, if I don't do it, then I'm responsible, it's my fault. You know, I really felt those things, and I had to really work with that and realize that wasn't the truth, that it was my job to open the door, give them the tools, use my energy in that way. But it was actually up to them to take responsibility for their own healing, because no one can heal the self. You actually heal. No one else can heal you. You heal yourself. It's just that there is people on the planet like myself who have trained in this in many lives, that have, you know, refined our vessels to be able to hold so much light, to be able to turn on the lights, help people turn on the lights, help people to see truth, dissolve, transmute, to give the tools that are needed. But really, you do the work. And it's each and every one of our personal responsibility. So we're not here to save other people. And again, I take it back to a metaphor, which I may have said in this series, I'm not sure, but you know, imagine a child starts to crawl and it starts to walk, and it's struggling, and the parent starts walking for it. That child's not going to learn to walk, and ultimately that's going to do a disservice to that child. It's not going to help the child if it always needs its parents to walk. So, and that's the same with us. We have to learn how to be 100% responsible for the self, so that we can become the conscious creators that we are here to become. There is nothing wrong with pure self-care and protection of your light, purity, discernment. And this is also something we have to learn, discernment. As more intense light rains down on the home we call Earth, the dust we previously were unable to see will show itself. Discernment is key for anyone on the spiritual journey. One should use discernment within as well as without. Understanding universal truth is very simple, yet seems to be that common sense factor most have lost. Yeah. In a recent conversation with my wise friend, I shall call DB, she said, true discernment is when you acknowledge that the information you are receiving is the universal truth. The universal truth simply is when you speak it, your body will always react to it. It's not hard to figure out what your validation signs are, such as truth, chills. Yes. It is the constant questions and wanting to know more details that is not of importance. Absolutely. The universal truth simply is typically the people who are constantly asking questions after spirit has spoken or wanting more details are the ones who want to force change when it is about being in the now and accepting those now moments. People who ask too many questions are searching in the weeds and unable to fully see the grand picture spirit is showing them. This is a form of distraction and trying to control the moment instead of just flowing as one with spirit. Those who understand the universal truth are those who have experienced more in life, are older, more experienced souls, gone through their ego death, are 100% working for their core and dedicated to acting on behalf of the greater good for all of creation. These words explain the simpleness of discernment and understanding universal truth. The mortal mind is impatient and wants to overanalyze everything, right? We all experience this, we know this. And one of the great aha moments that I had on my healing path was realizing I didn't need to understand everything with the mind. That actually, if I just let go, surrendered, and allowed that if there was something that I needed to know, that it would just drop in, that would be shown, that it would come in at the right time, in divine timing, that I didn't need to push and force it. When we are trying to push and force, we're in resistance, and it really is learning to surrender. And and on our journey, this lesson comes back around, right? This is what I've realized the last few weeks. I'm being asked to surrender to an even deeper level. We're always being asked to surrender more and more and more. And the more we let go and surrender, the more that God's source can actually move in and move our lives onto the path that we are supposed to be on. So always remember that your body is your temple. Maintaining the sacredness of it is important for ascension. When it comes to emotional and mental symptoms, please use discernment to determine if it is truly your energy or influence from an invisible system. Yeah, actually, I'm going to link at the end a video I did about thoughts, because we have many thoughts that are inorganic. They're not our thoughts, and it's important to be able to discern what is your energy field and what is not yours, but is somebody else's. Using discernment as a psychic medium is very important as well when it comes to your personality. Anyone with mediumship abilities or even strong sensitives work as a gateway to source. Since we have a first line to source, our light body acts as a gateway home. Spirits will see this and come to us to use our light body for this reason. Think of how someone can track mud into your house. Now, see the mud as personality imprints. A spirit is left behind in your light body. This sometimes happens when they enter our field to use it as a gateway. This is yet another reason why doing spiritual housekeeping is important. What the mortal mind comprehends does not feed the spirit. What the spirit comprehends does not feed the mortal mind. Light code symptoms. Light codes are biogeometric signatures that are held within your light body. Every soul spark is born with some and earns more through their service to creation. Yeah, I've realized that, right? The more that you are in service and commitment, the more that God's source spark trusts you, realizes that you have the capacity to use more light, and you can be gifted more and more light, more and more access, because it's so important that we use these gifts in a way that is going to serve all of humanity, not from a pure, selfish, greedy perspective. And that's not to say that we can't have any desires, right? So I don't want to confuse those two, but it's about knowing that we're here to collaborate with each other. We're here to find what piece of the puzzle that we are, the unique piece of the puzzle that we are, and bring that light into the world. And we're all this unique piece of the puzzle, and we all fit together perfectly, and we find our true alignment. We are created to work together to make this jigsaw, this masterpiece of art. Where am I? Okay. While incarnated, they will merge into the consciousness field of the incarnate when they reach a specific octave. This is known as the Jacob's ladder because the human body has 33 vertebrae. And I'm going to leave a video that I've just done about the 333, or as I'm calling it now, the tree, as it was referred to in Ireland, the work I've just done, and the 888, which when you add together, you've got the 333, which is the 9, the 888, which is the 24, and the 9 is the 33. And on all the sacred tours we were doing, it didn't bypass me that our bus was called Jacob. So Jacob's ladder, because the human body has 33 vertebrae. As the Kundalini rises up each vertebrae, a light code ignites like popcorn. Light code symptoms occur when these biogeometric signatures need to activate by the physical senses of the incarnate dancing. This is when movement of the body is needed to release light codes from an energy center. An example of this is when you have the urge to move your hands in the air. Yeah, I do this often. This is what is happening is light codes are exiting the chakras in your palms to go out into the environment around you. This mostly occurs when the person has a code that is needed for one of the earthly kingdoms, animal, nature, mineral, sea, or man, in templates like Mu, Lemuria. This was how they were mainly channeled from the higher planes. People would gather around while priestesses would dance and emit codes for everyone. This was a time when no verbal language was used as well, therefore messages from the higher planes were felt. Via those biogeometric signatures that dispersed in the air, some dance and emit codes to do portal grid work and much more. Drawing. Sometimes light codes needs to be drawn so the incarnate can visually see it. As the lens in the eye scans the code, it is hitting the magical crystals in the mind to activate. Sometimes frontal headaches can occur during these activations, and there's just a diagram here of the optic light signal. So I would stop that if you want to have a deeper look at that. Higher light frequencies enter your eye lens as pockets of plasma light. These are picked up by the pyramidal cells in your cerebral cortex to then signal the information into your central nervous and nervous system. Minerals. Crystals are coded with light codes. Master grid workers will randomly have crystals appear. This can be either in their home or in their path. So that is so interesting because that actually, I was in Ireland doing grid work, and it's the first time that I've done conscious grid work. I realise now that I've always been a grid worker and I've been moving around doing grid work, but I was unconscious to that, and this time this was conscious work that I was doing. And in my hotel room appeared this crystal, and it was a beautiful red crystal, and I had no idea where this crystal had come from. And so it's just interesting that I've just come to this, right? Because I was thinking, like, that's just appeared. I don't know where it's come from. And I actually ended up leaving it as an offering on the last sacred site that I was at. I was guided to do that. So that's just so interesting. It also had in with it a little piece of paper, and it mentioned a crystal. Now I don't think it was that crystal, because when I looked up the crystal, and I can't remember it now, I've kept the piece of paper because I kind of felt I'm being guided to get this crystal. I literally just got back last night, so and I looked up the name of that crystal, and it was a different color, so I don't feel like it was that crystal, but I was asked to leave this crystal and get another one. So this can be either in their home or in their path. Most of those mermaid souls will find them while walking on the beach. Magical, and I was with a couple of girls actually that actually had a few crystals there that they were also leaving as offerings, which they had found on the beach. Magical crystals will randomly wash up at your feet. This is because you coded that crystal and only you can read them. The famous Lemurian crystals that were coded almost always find their way back into the same hands. that coded them. Lemuria never fell. It exists in Venus and is where those on the organic timelines are returning to. Yes. As the crystals come into the energy field of the incarnate, that energy activates the crystal, which then emits out the codes. These codes are always needed for the incarnate, whether for their ascension or divine light duty. Speech, singing. Some will wake up and suddenly start speaking in an unknown language. This is because what you are saying is coded from your soul to activate you. This again can be for memories, DNA healing, wisdom, light work and mission, duties and much more. Singing works the same way. When this is happening around animals, crystals, the ocean or nature, it is to activate them. Most who sing have had many lifetimes as a mermaid. They are the ones who took care of the crystals and crystal caves. When they sing, they are upgrading, activating or coding crystals with information. Singing works the same way as dancing. Another thing singing light codes does is it places force fields in the energy field nearby or even for the incarnate themselves. Those with PK abilities would sing to levitate and move those heavy stones spoken about prior. And yeah, we were kind of talking about that in the work we've just been doing as well, because we were at some places where there were these sacred buildings created, and someone asked one of the tour guides how those stones were cut so perfectly in place in the places that they were placed, and he was like, oh, we don't really know how they did it, but I'm just imagining it's a chisel. And obviously some of the girls were like, oh no, that was sung into place through sound and vibration. When it comes to light codes, language, they are meant to be felt. Existence simply is. The universal truth simply is. Try not to get lost in the weeds looking for answers to feed the mortal mind when they are meant for your heart, spirit. Just allow them to flow through you and surrender to your spirit. Always be one with the cosmic river of life. What the angels mean is to not use the mind to try to decode what they mean. Just simply allow yourself to feel them. Okay, I'm going to leave it there for this one. So it's a little bit of a short one, but as I say, I'm just back from my the mission work that I've been doing, and I just wanted to get a little video out today because it's probably been a little while since I released one, although I did schedule a couple to release, but so I just wanted to get one out today, and I'll be I think we're getting pretty close to finishing this book now, so likely the next reading will be the finale. So yeah, thank you.